What is up, guys? It's Jimbo here and welcome back to another Destiny 2 video. Today we're talking about solipsism, but more importantly the popular combo that is Apotheosis Veil and Star Eater Scales. I want to talk about some misconceptions with this, why it's not as good as people say that it is, why it is as good as people say it is, and a lot of other things. And as well, we're going to throw in a build that can hopefully take advantage of getting your supers really fast as well. So without further ado, let's jump into the video. So with the solipsism bond, we have access to a lot of different perks. And obviously in this video, we're talking about the Apotheosis and Spirit of the Star Eater combination. Spirit of the Star Eater basically gives your super a damage bonus when you activate it. Basically, when you get up to a Feast of Light times 6, you have to fill your energy of your super all the way up, get some orbs of power, and then you'll have that damage boost. This also combos really well with Apotheosis because you temporarily get increased melee grenade regeneration after your super ends. So it means that you can throw out a whole bunch of abilities after the super has gone ahead. This works incredibly well with Song of Flame because it means that you're able to get this active, get a whole bunch of spam out of your abilities, and then afterwards you can throw out a bunch of your abilities that you use for more damage. Problem that this has is in terms of how the build actually plays together when you get it into actual regular gameplay. But before we do that, let's jump into some damage numbers and show you what happens when you use a couple of the different supers. The first example that you'll see on screen is me in the Grasp of Avarice boss. Now there is a Strand Surge modifier, so any of the arcane needles that I throw will be a little bit boosted, and I'm not using a weaken here, I'm using Storm Grenade. So when I start the damage phase, I throw out my Storm Grenade, and then I pop my super straight away, which takes me into my loop of doing grenade melee melee, grenade melee melee, and then I also was able to pop Transcendence after this for even more ability damage. A lot of the number that we got at the end, which is about 1.3 million, is going to be coming from Nova Bomb, and then we have the extra abilities going out as well, and then the extra added effect of the Void Grenade in the stasis type thing that Transcendence has, which will put out some extra damage as well. The second example is me using Song of Flame. Now there is a Solar Surge on this dungeon, which means we're going to be getting an extra 25% damage. So at the end, take off about 300,000, like 400,000 and stuff, purely for the extra numbers. But we do a lot of damage here. We do something like 1.5 million, and the rotation is pretty much the same. You go all the way through your super, and I think this works best with Apotheosis Veil for the amount of ability spam that you can do in Song of Flame. I didn't test Needle Storm in this video purely because I think it's going to be the exact same as Nova Bomb, except we're going to get that extra 25% boost due to the surges, and I think it does a little bit less in terms of what Nova Bomb does. But yeah, I think that we know the results there. Star Eater with these supers is going to be good, and Apotheosis Veil is going to allow us to ability spam. The upside of this exotic is that you're going to be able to put out a hell of a lot of burst damage with just your abilities alone. If you've maybe got a tractor and you combo this with your supers, you're going to be able to do a lot of damage, especially on the Herald of Finality boss in the second encounter of Salvation's Edge. And there will be some situations where you can use this, and there's going to be rotations that people will be able to push out even more damage. The problem is, after the neutral game between getting your super and not having your super is awful. When you are using it in like a raid environment where you have a raid banner and you have your super straight away, getting 6 orbs is easy because you have enough time to be able to gather them. In regular play, it falls down because a lot of enemies just die, and if you've got 3 people in your team, they will also be dead, and you won't be able to generate the orbs that you need for the build. 1, to get your super back, and then having the additional 6 extra orbs for Feast of Light. Unless you're synergizing with your teammates to get a bunch of extra orbs, then that's where the build will fall down, which is why I'm not as hyped about this in terms of a general use exotic. It's a very hyper specific setup that you can use in specific scenarios in the game, because I think there's better combos out there that are just more fun and pull builds together, because you don't even need to worry about the fragments on the build or the aspects on Prismatic, which is part of the fun of the class. But I digress. Let's jump into a build and talk about how we can generate a bunch of super energy and also orbs for our Feast of Light. So let's go over the build for this specific scenario where we are using Apotheosis and Star Eater. You can use double ashes to assets and go with triple grenades here to generate orbs when you throw a grenade out. And I'm also using Void Siphon for whatever weapon I'm using to create orbs of power. Graviton Lance works really well here just because of the amount of explosions you can cause with it. I've also got resistances. These don't really matter in terms of the build. The same as our boots. We don't really need anything. This is just going to help with ability cooldowns. But the key perk you're going to want is Powerful Attraction, because it collects the orbs of power when you use your class ability. You can also drop one of the bombers and go with Reaper, and you can get yourself even more of your class orbs from class abilities, but it's entirely up to you. But that's how you're going to generate things back. You could do a little bit of a hot swap and go with your Warlock and use like a Mantle of Battle Harmony beforehand, just to generate a whole bunch of super when you're using it, and then go into your then swap to the Bond after you've used it. That might be a combo like Battle Harmony and Star Eater could be pretty good to take advantage of it, but in this specific scenario, this is the build that I am going with. It'll be in the description, so hopefully you use this and have a lot of fun with it. So there's the build, there's a discussion on the exotic. Tell me your thoughts down in the comment section. I think it's a really fun exotic setup, and I'll probably be using this in raids depending on what the encounter is and what it calls for, dungeons maybe. But I do think that it's nice to have Warlocks to be able to put out a bit of burst damage, as they're usually resulted to using well. So hopefully this will provide options that you can use. But with that being said, this has been Jimbo. Hopefully this video has been helpful. Leave a like on it, subscribe as always, and I will see you guys next time.